Hello, hello. Welcome back to episode 9 of the Coach Harris Show. Thank you so much, as always, for listening in. Today's conversation is with Alyson Young, a yoga teacher, a former dancer, and a really knowledgeable person when it comes to finding joy in fitness, moving like you love yourself, and making the most of the movement that your body is capable of. We have a lot of great conversations for you today, a lot of actionable takeaways that you can use instantly to improve your mindset around fitness, your mindset around eating and nutrition, and how you view yourself and your body. Alyson shared some really cool stories, one of which is actually that she was in a music video many years ago of a very well-known rapper. So listen in to hear that story. It's quite interesting, and I think you're going to love it. Once again, we really get into the details here, and it's a quite in-depth conversation. So I hope you enjoy. In the description below, I'm going to link Alyson's Instagram where you can find her yoga classes. She is an incredible instructor. I highly recommend you check out her virtual yoga training. I think you'll love it, especially after this conversation. And last thing I will share is if you want more help with your fitness and your strength training, my email list is a place that I would love to communicate with you on. Alyson actually got in touch with me through my email list. That's because I asked people if they wanted to come on the podcast. I wanted to hear their stories, and Alyson is one of the very kind people who responded to that. So again, if you want to be informed of things like that regarding the podcast, if you want to ask your questions, get in-depth answers, totally free. All you have to do is go in the description below, find the link about my email list, jump on there, say hello. I would love to have you, and I would love to make a deeper connection. All right, that's all I have for you. So without further ado, here is my conversation with Alyson Young. All right, we are recording. Hello, Alyson. Thank you for hopping on today.
Hi, Harris. I'm super excited to be here.
Thank you. Thank you. I know there's some pets in the background, so we might get some surprise noises, but no big deal. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. I've been pretty busy today. I am in the middle of my 500-hour yoga teacher training right now. And the way that they do it, they break it up into 3 different modules. So each module is like a 100-hour block. So I'm in my second 100 hours of training.
Wow. So what does that training look like on a more specific level? As much as
well, virtually it's very different than it would be in person, but virtually it's 2 weeks of live calls with our teacher, and then we have about 6 months to complete the course. There's about 6 to 7 hours of pre-recorded trainings per day. So it's a total of 12 days worth of material.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty in-depth. So is this something, since you've gone more virtual, is this something you feel like you're learning some really cool new things that you haven't been doing in the past?
It is. And honestly, the instructor that I'm doing my training with, his name's Jason Crandall, and he is based out of San Francisco. And I have known for about 2 years that I wanted to do my training with him, but it would require me to travel to San Francisco. So the pandemic has given me the opportunity to study with him virtually without the expense of traveling and everything that goes along with that.
I see. I feel like that's something cool I keep hearing from so many people is that, like, despite of course the many challenges with the past 12 months, there's a lot of cool opportunities that have come from primarily virtual work, like you're able to connect with more people and sometimes have these opportunities come up that might have not happened before.
Yeah. I mean, I think it has its ups and downs. One of the major, positive things about studying online is that if there's something that my teacher says, I can pause it and rewind it, or I can pause it, take a note, and then keep on going with the video. Yeah. So, because every time I do any sort of live class, I feel like there's so many things where I'm like, wait, say that again. Wait, let me catch that. Like, I just want to remember this moment. And since it's recorded, you can go back and look at it again.
Absolutely.
Or pause as needed.
When you were, at any age, but when you were younger and in school, were you like a heavy note taker with class?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I can relate to that because I feel like I would just take so many notes that I wouldn't even pay attention. And if I missed something, I was like, oh my God, what? Well, go back. So being able to pause with online work. I've done a lot of that myself with and courses and other things. And it's nice to be able to like really replay things and kind of let it sink onto a deeper level.
Well, and I find that I can't pay attention if I don't take notes. So if I'm just sitting there watching something, I completely zone out. Like even sometimes I'll be watching TV or whatever, and I'm like, I haven't actually watched the last 5 minutes of the show. I just zoned out. So for
Mhm.
me to just listen to a lecture, I don't get much out of it unless if I'm actively doing something along with it.
I see.
Yeah,
Okay. So it seems like it's working out well then.
it is.
Very good. I would love to know more about the classes that you're teaching right now. I know you're teaching yoga and strength virtually, right?
Right. So when the pandemic started, I did what every teacher did and started teaching on Instagram. And it was going really well. I was teaching 30-minute classes a day. And then I took a break to start the first 100 hours of my yoga teacher, like the first 100 hours of the 500-hour training. And after that, I started teaching on a platform called Talent Hack. And it's been great. I started doing what they call a pre commit. So, what people do is they sign up for the month and they get unlimited access to all of my live virtual classes.
Mm,
And then all of the classes that I teach are pre recorded and I put them in an on demand library.
I
So
like
if they
that.
can't make the live class, they can take the class on demand whenever they have time. So I'm teaching 4 classes a week right now. I'm teaching a 9 a.m. on Monday strength class, which is just traditional strength training. Wednesdays, I teach a yoga class at 9 a.m. Fridays, I teach a class. I was calling it Sculpt, but I decided I didn't like what that name implied.
Mm,
So I decided to go with Pilates Strength because it's a traditional mat Pilates, but I also mix in some standing lunging work and some squats and some other things that are more strength based. And then on Saturdays, I teach a yoga class at 10.
I see. I
Yeah,
like that you have that much attention to the naming because I feel like naming, especially in the fitness and the health world, is so important. Even though a class might be similar with two different names, the name can sometimes really be the deciding factors if somebody joins the class or kind of their expectations going into it, you know, and
right.
your focus seems to be more on that like well-roundedness versus just the sculpt or the toning. Like you have a lot more of a strength aspect, it seems.
Well, and toning, toning
Yeah,
is a myth in the first place.
exactly.
So the whole idea that you could sculpt your body is just a complete myth.
Hmm.
And I don't think it accurately represents what we're doing in the class. So I do realize that if you were to take my class and put it on a schedule at like a LA Fitness or something, it would be labeled sculpt, but that doesn't accurately represent how I want people to view what we're doing in class.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Can I ask, so like on that deeper level with that, what you just said, what is the thing you want people to really take from the kind of class? You know, it's deeper than just sculpting and toning, so to speak. What's the
Right.
message you're trying to put out with what you do?
So I have, and this is something that we can continue to talk about throughout the podcast because this is something that I feel like I've really found who I am as an instructor in the past year. Um, I've moved, I went through a phase where I was very focused on weight loss. So I would say that was like my first entry into the fitness world. I was very focused on weight loss and how to get people to lose weight and teaching a ton of cardio classes. And then I started a lot of strength training. So I moved from cardio into more strength training. And I was like, yeah, everyone, let's get stronger. And that was my focus for a really long time. And I was like powerlifting and lifting weights 4 times a week. And I injured my back so bad that I could barely walk.
Wow.
And my chiropractor thinks that I did something to my QL.
Hmm.
So I injured my back and continued to slowly ease back into strength training. And then the pandemic hit. And I realized that I don't enjoy strength training that much.
Hmm.
So it led to this whole discovery of like, okay, so you don't want to focus on weight loss. You don't want to focus on strength. I was very stressed out, as everyone was last March. What kind of movement can I do that will mentally help me to release stress and feel better? And the answer to that became yoga, which I found to be very grounding. Pilates, which really helped me to build the strength I needed for my core to help me recover from that back injury, and dancing. So I started doing dance cardio. And then I did end up adding back in some strength training, but not to the extreme that I was doing it, because I also found out I have hip dysplasia and it was symptomatic. So I was having like severe pain in my piriformis. And I ended up getting a cortisone shot, going to physical therapy. And my physical therapist was like, yeah, you need to be doing a little bit more strength training than you're doing right now. So I ended up adding that back in.
I see.
So my whole movement philosophy has been moving for mental health, physical health, stress relief, to enjoy moving. So all of those reasons versus trying to change your body.
I'm happy you got there. Actually, something I was going to kind of bring up more today was your general kind of why behind getting into yoga. And you obviously just covered that. And I think that's where
I could go off more on the yoga thing.
I would
because
love
that's a whole nother, yeah.
Go for it. Yeah. What else?
So whenever I started, so I grew up dancing. And when you're a dancer, you're always trying to be better. There's constant competition. You're constantly trying to be like your teacher. You're trying to do more turns and jump higher, do all of that. I moved to New York to dance professionally in 2012. And I found the industry to be toxic, and realizing that toxicity went way back even before I moved to New York. And I decided that I wasn't enjoying dancing anymore. I didn't enjoy the competition of going to classes and the competition of auditioning. It was really stressful, and it made me not want to dance anymore. So, and at the same time, I had plantar fasciitis, and I have like a million injuries, and I have tendinosis in my left foot. Wow. And the tendinosis made it so that I basically couldn't jump at all, which if you dance, jumping is like a big thing. You have to be able, especially I was a tap dancer, you have to be able to jump and land a jump. I couldn't do that without pain. And at the same time, so that was all happening at the same time I was getting into the fitness world. And then I got into the fitness world, and the fitness world is very, dance world, everyone's trying to be thin. Fitness world, everybody's trying to be like strong and muscular and have like this lean, sculpted, air quotes, physique. And I took a yoga class, and part of the yoga philosophy is just come as you are. It was the first place that I felt like I could be myself, and I was accepted for who I was. And I wasn't trying to compare myself to the person next to me. I wasn't comparing myself to who I was 2 years ago, 10 years ago. So it was just this complete form of acceptance. And instead of doing it for outside people, I was truly finding movement that I could do for myself. And it led to this whole self-discovery thing that has just been really wonderful.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
What I just took away that I think really is interesting for me to always keep talking about, because it's something that comes up in every one of these podcasts that I do. It's something I talk about with people that I've worked with. I'm sure you do as well, is the idea of self-awareness with really everything, but fitness especially, because just as this yoga for you has become this thing where you don't compare yourself as much, you feel like you can really focus on your own deeper purpose and goals. That same outcome might happen for somebody else with a different discipline. You never know. There's so many options. Right. But ultimately what matters is just being as self-aware as you were and trying different things and kind of having like the courage to, find things that really made you feel confident and not like you have to keep up with somebody else. There's always something to kind of find yourself matched with.
Right. And I think that self-awareness has trickled into other things. So it's trickled into my strength training. Whereas now restarting the strength training after taking a break after my injury, I'm not trying to lift the heaviest weight I can. And it's gone, and we could even go into eating habits. And
Please.
yeah, like I've been working with an RD that is an intuitive eating. I don't know if she's a coach, but she is an RD that practices intuitive eating. And coming from a place with disordered eating habits, I never binged, I never purged, I never didn't eat enough, but I severely restricted what I was eating. I didn't eat a hamburger until I was 19 years old. There was a period where I completely cut out cheese.
Wow.
Because it was high in fat. And it sounds ridiculous, but at that time I was trying to fit into this dancer's body, and I am primarily European descent. I am never going to be 125 pounds without some sort of disordered eating habits. So, what I've come to realize is that we create these healthy habits. You eat a well-balanced diet, eat vegetables, carbs, protein with every meal, exercise, take care of your mental health. And the way I've been looking at it is whatever happens to my body happens to my body. If I lose weight, cool. If I gain weight, cool. It's this acceptance of your body finds it where it wants to be and being okay with that.
I see. So from what you just said, this is something that I talk with a lot with the people that I work with, and I used to struggle with this as well when I was younger. It was maybe for a different outcome, right? It wasn't weight loss, it was weight gain. But I think there's body dysmorphia is a real thing with whatever population you're in, just
Absolutely.
wanting to look different, needing to look different, and having that be an obsession. I had that for years. And similar to you with the food thing, I would almost do the opposite. I would force myself to eat more and more and more to gain muscle. I hated the frailness that I thought I had in my body. I would, on vacation with families, I would sneak away from dinner so I could go to the gym and make sure I lifted before the end of the day. And then I would not eat certain things because I couldn't track it. It was all of these habits really started to push things out of place. And something I love talking about now with people is, again, there's nothing wrong with wanting to improve your physique from a aesthetic standpoint. If you want to be leaner, if you want to gain muscle, that's amazing. But if that drives everything you do to the point that you are barely even enjoying movement, or you're not enjoying getting stronger, enjoying doing yoga, or enjoying any of these amazing things that we have access to, then there needs to be something needs to be addressed. So my question to you, for anyone who needs help with this, is how would you guide somebody to more of that mindset? If someone feels like they're just stuck on their body weight wherever it's changing, and they're not enjoying the whole journey of getting stronger, getting more mobile, doing yoga, doing exercise, what would you say to that person? How would you kind of guide them to think about this?
Oh, that's a tough question. Mainly because I haven't really coached people since last year.
Even if it was just a friend, anybody.
I think the first thing that you have to do is they have to get in touch with who they are and what they enjoy. So maybe they journal about what kind of movement brings them joy. Do you really like running, or do you just do it because your favorite celebrity does it and they have a great body? Would you prefer, instead of running, to go lift weights, but you don't do that because you are told that running is what you should be doing.
Mm.
So really thinking about what you like to do and what you don't like to do, I
That's
think
good.
is,
That's
yeah.
good. Yeah, it comes down, like you said, self-awareness and another word, I mean, context, there has to be the right context for whatever the question is. Like, I'm sure you've gotten asked this a million times as well in some way is
Mhm.
like, is this thing good? Should I do this? Like people ask me, is running good? I'm like, for what? If it's
Yeah.
for weight loss, like, I mean, maybe, but it's not necessary. Do you like running? Do you feel good when you like? I've met a lot of people, like you said, that they actually hate running. They don't like the feeling. They don't like any of it, but they do it every single day because they're told that's how you get abs, which is not necessarily true. But then I've also met people who they say they like running because they feel like they're flying. It's an emotional release. They're able to kind of just move around a city and
Yep.
like have scenic views. That's amazing. Then run every day, run twice a day if you
Right.
want that much. But there's nothing that you have to do, and there's nothing that is off limits because it's just you need to have the context behind it. Like, what do you like?
Right. And we live in a world where you have access to everything, right? Like I can open YouTube and Google workout, and there's probably millions of workouts. So if you don't enjoy running for cardio, do you enjoy walking? Do you enjoy dancing? Do you enjoy spinning? Do you enjoy boxing? Do you enjoy HIIT workouts? Like there's so many things that you can do that aren't what, you don't have to do what your favorite celebrity does. You don't have to do, and I think that's what your trainer tells you to do. And I think if you are a trainer and you are like one track mindset, you probably won't have that client for long. So you have to help that person find what they like. And that might not be training with you,
Mm-hmm.
if that makes sense. So, if somebody comes to me and they're like, oh, well, I really enjoy boxing and I want to lose weight, I'm not your trainer. I don't know a thing about boxing, but this other trainer does. So I think maybe you would be a better fit with him or her.
Yeah.
So I think that's part of our jobs as trainers is to help people enjoy movement, even if it doesn't involve you,
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
it does. And I
And
will,
that's totally is like not a business, not the business sales perspective of things. And, but ultimately, even like my goal as a trainer is to make people independent so they don't need me. I
exactly.
don't need
Amen
you
to
to
that.
train with me
Mhm.
forever.
Yeah. 100%. I will not so shamelessly plug you and what you're doing because if anyone's listening and wants to work on their yoga, but more importantly, like for real, because yes, like obviously you can teach somebody yoga. There's probably many people who can, but something that I say a lot for other trainers is one of the most important thing is being a trainer, being a coach, being a yoga instructor, whatever, is to have that humility to say this person maybe not a good fit for me
Mhm.
and to be able to kind of redirect people where they need. Because ultimately what we're here to do is kind of like I think of it as like this is a weird example, but like a pinball machine, right? The ball's kind of like all over the place and there's a
Yep.
destination that you want to get. So I find a person, I don't know where they're at when I meet them. I don't know what they've gone through. I learn that. And then my job is and your job is to kind of guide them bouncing back and forth to anything that they might need to do to get to where they ultimately want to be. And one of those little bounces, one of those steps could be a different person they work with, could be a different
Right.
resource they take in, a different activity. Like you went from, strength training to yoga and you've kind of bounced around a little bit. You have to
Yeah.
kind of find those things. And I think that's super important and super humble of you to be able to say like, maybe this person isn't for me. Maybe they are, So if you find a trainer or a yoga instructor that is humble enough to speak like that, then they're probably a good person to learn from because you know that they have your best interest at heart and in mind.
Right.
So
Right. I
take
agree
yoga
with
and
that.
yeah, take yoga lessons
Yeah.
from Alyson, please. um, anything more in your kind of life? I know you went into some really good detail, but anything more into your backstory, your life, any notable events or cool moments or just anything else about you that you'd like to share that you think would help people kind of more deeply connect to what you're trying to get across today?
Um,
Crazy stories, even
oh, well, I'll pull out my party story.
party story, please.
So I was in a music video. This was my claim to fame. I was in a Mac Miller music video.
Mac Miller, really?
Yes.
All right,
Yes.
while you
And
talk, I'm gonna YouTube this.
okay, it's Frick Park Market, and it was in 2011. So I was going into my super senior year of college. I did an extra 6 months of college
Hmm.
because I changed majors after my first year and I decided to double major. So I was in a music video. That's my party story. And after I was in the video, distinctly remember my one friend. Anytime we'd go out to a party or a bar or whatever, she'd find a guy and she'd be like, "Oh, here's my friend Alyson. She was in a music video. Talk to her." I'd be like, "Okay."
That is the setup of the century. That's pretty smooth. I like
Yeah.
it. As much or little as you want to share, but can you elaborate at all on how that happened? That's super interesting.
So was from Pittsburgh, which is where I'm from.
Okay.
So I grew up in Pittsburgh, and I think it was an agency called my at the time dance mentor, whose studio I was teaching for, asking if they knew anybody to be in this video. So she recommended me, and I didn't audition or anything. It was just kind of like, we trust her judgment. And we were like painted up, and it was in this big warehouse. It was really cool.
Something on YouTube still?
It is. Well, it was like a big music video.
Might have to share it below if you're
We
okay
can
with
do
that.
that if you want
Sounds
to.
fascinating.
You can't. I'm in very small parts, so you have to like watch it very closely. I'm like, I'm there. I'm there. I'm there.
All right. I'm
So
going to
it's.
spend some time. Like, I'm very, very curious. This is interesting. Good stuff. Okay.
I can send
So
you a photo of
that would
me
be
and my
helpful.
friends with him.
That would be
Yeah.
helpful. That would be cool.
Yeah.
All right. So back on track a little bit. So from
Okay.
everything we've talked about so far, you've hit on a lot of things I was going to get to, but are there any more notable kind of challenges, or I don't like to say the word failures because I don't think that's really always relevant. It's more just lessons that we're going through, but anything notable in, again, fitness and health that you've gone through that you've taken the most away from in a positive sense? I know you mentioned some injuries, you mentioned some kind of issues with dancing and the mindset there that you've
Yeah.
come back from. Anything else you think people would benefit from?
So I think that we have to. I like how you reframed the word failure to challenges,
Hmm.
because everything that at the time I perceived as a failure ended up being in my best interest. So in the long term, that failure led to another success. So it's like that mindset of like, when one door closes, another door opens.
Mm-hmm.
So, one thing I think of is not dancing anymore, and my injuries that led to that. At the time, that was kind of a devastating part of my life, and I had to grieve and mourn for that. But I was having trouble finding much work in the dance industry, and I was offered a full-time job in the fitness industry, which, a full-time job with benefits and all of that grown-up stuff is very hard to come by. It
Mm-hmm.
was like an 8-hour day type of deal. Um, so that one door closed and the other door opened. Um, so I think that was one of the major things that I overcame in the years. And there's still times where I miss dancing, but I think about, I mean, the industry right now for the arts in New York is just, everyone's unemployed, and it's been a really, really hard year for them, as well as, for most of the fitness industry. Um, but knowing that you are where you are for a reason,
Mm-hmm.
and knowing that one thing that I really came to love about yoga and fitness and wellness is getting to help other people and helping other people to be more mindful, to be empowered, and to have people come to your class and say, like, I look forward to this all day or all week, and being that best part of someone's day, I think is the most rewarding part. And, helping people to enjoy movement and love their body.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I really love hearing that. I mean, again, with training, whether as a trainer or an instructor or as the person on the receiving end of that, like we often, and again, I've struggled with this. I'm sure you have personally.
Mm-hmm.
Like we sometimes get mixed up in the results aspect of all of this, right? Like fitness sometimes gets such a generic connotation to it, like fitness, getting lean, losing weight, or getting this result to your body or to your performance or XYZ. And all that
Right.
stuff is great. And it's, I mean, sometimes that helps in other areas of my life, having a tangible result to work towards. Cause
Mm-hmm.
I mean, long story short, a big reason why I got started into fitness in the first place was because when I was in high school, again, for whatever reason, felt like I didn't have a lot of control in my life with a lot of different things. I didn't feel like I had an outlet. I didn't have any passions, quote that word, right? Any things that I was really driving towards.
Right.
And everything felt kind of just like a blur, And then when I found strength training, which is for me, that's my kind of release. That's the thing I love the most. I was like, oh, no matter what my school is like, my social life is like, family life, I can go downstairs to my gym. I can warm up. I can put on the weight from last week. I can try to do one more rep. And if I do
Yeah.
that, something in whether it's my mindset or my physical body is getting better. And like that was so exciting to me, and it still is. So that's great. But we can't neglect like how important it is just to have something to be a part of your day, something to
Yeah.
make your day better, which can be fitness. And that's what you do for people, is like having people
Right.
come to a class, like having something to look forward to after a tough day at work or a tough day with whatever it is, being able to get that release and that excitement. So fitness can be so much more than just like, I want this, it's something you get to experience all the time.
Yeah, I agree. Um, and I'm thinking about what you said about, I think there is such a preconceived notion of what the industry is. Like a lot of people think that it is just, oh, okay, if I work with a trainer, go to this yoga class, I'm going to get shredded, or I'm going to find whatever that they want to find. Um, when it is about so much more than just your physical appearance. I mean,
Yeah.
because from what I hear from you is that strength training really helps your mental health.
Mm-hmm. Mental.
And
Yeah.
I think that's something that's often, it's becoming more of an awareness right now, but it's still overlooked. And it is often just seen as like those shallow qualities, such as ripped abs or
Yeah,
losing weight.
exactly. And again, shallow qualities also potentially, I mean, they can be shallow and totally
Right.
worthwhile, but
Totally.
exactly.
Totally.
But still things that
But
are surface level.
what I try and tell my students is I don't really care, and I'll refer specifically to my yoga classes. I don't really care if you can do this pose. So usually the way that I'll structure my yoga classes, or sometimes I'll structure them so we're building up to doing something like an arm balance. I don't know if you know like what side crow
I
is
think I
in
need to
yoga.
do your classes. I am
Yeah.
immobile and I don't know. My body is broken a little bit, but no, I don't. An arm balance generally, I think I know what you mean, but
Yeah. So basically where you're standing on your hands instead of your feet.
I see.
And you can make different shapes doing that. So there's a pose called side crow, and it's a twisted arm balance. So last week, I taught that all last month with the goal of building into it. And what tends to happen when people learn something that's hard I don't want to say hard, that's more advanced physically,
Mm-hmm.
is they can get really frustrated. So one thing that I tell my classes is that any version of that pose is the pose. And that's something that my teacher has taught me. So if you can't do the arm balance on your hands, can you do it seated? Can you do it lying down? Is there a way that you can still get the benefit of it? So what's important isn't doing the pose. What's important, and of course that pose takes about all of 5 minutes of class. What's important is the other 40 minutes of class where you are doing things to build into that pose. And I'm sure it's the same thing with strength training.
Yeah.
Well, it is the same thing with strength training, where it isn't necessarily like, oh, cool, I deadlifted 400 pounds, because that's all of probably 10 minutes of your workout.
Mm-hmm.
It's all the other things that you're doing to build into that.
Absolutely. I talked about this with a client yesterday through FaceTime, is that, and this, again, I think anything in fitness and training and yoga is basically a piece of life, right? It applies to everything else. It's not that much different, but like exercise progressions are truly on a spectrum. I think it's troublesome to think of things in like these black and white ways. Like there's this variation, then I have to hit this. If I don't hit this, then I'm behind. It's a full spectrum of options. Like yesterday I was training somebody who I was having her do I call it like a bear plank. That's the term, but it's basically a plank on your hands, right? Like you're going to bear crawl, but your knees are bent. And one version of that was too tough. So I said, just extend your legs out or put a little more weight, like add one limb back to the floor, because we were trying some fancy stuff. And and I was really trying to stress the point that this isn't bad, that we are going to a different variation, which in technical terms is a regression. But I was like, this is just another variation of the same, in your words, pose, right? A same exercise. Like it's the same movement, same goal, just a different variation that might fit your body better right now. Let's master that, do that really well, and then you can try one that seems different or more challenging. So again, being willing.
And I don't even like to use the words progression, regression, harder, easier, more advanced, beginner with any of my classes or any of my clients, because I think it's all easier, and harder is all subjective.
100%.
Because you can take the easiest thing and make it hard.
Mm-hmm.
In addition, I think that you can take any, like, giving options is what I'm always like, this is option 1, 2, 3, 4. And I give them in the order of least demanding to most demanding. So I like using like that kind of language instead of beginner, advanced, whatever. But back to what I was saying about the beginner thing, the hard, you can take anything that's beginner and make it hard. Like you can fine tune those details until it is something that is more advanced. And I think that is what makes you more advanced in what you're doing. And really fine tunes what you're doing.
100%. Yeah, that's something I've been more aware of with my speech over the past, months, year, like however much time. I've been progressively trying to get away from those labels of things, because I don't think it helps anybody, and I think it's not always accurately representing a movement or a workout or something. Like saying this is a beginner variation, or this is a advanced thing, or this is what you should be doing now because it's a progression. Like again, somebody's regression might be somebody else's progression. Like it just really depends. So, and just as you said, like you could be, and I think you should be somebody, if you're somebody who's more quote advanced and skilled at something, you can do the really simple basic thing of that. And if you do it with like attitude and energy and control and all these other things, it can be super hard and effective. So
when I was dancing, I remember I was in college, and when I would go home, I would take class with the 10-year-olds.
Wow.
And sometimes I would be incredibly sore the next day because you're taking something that is more basic with a higher skill set.
Mm-hmm.
And the skill set that you learn from doing something that's more demanding and taking it on and using it on something that's less demanding can make that less demanding thing incredibly hard.
Yeah. That's really good. I think to whoever might hear this, and if somebody is struggling with that, where they feel like they've progressed past something and they don't need to go back to any other basics or practice things again because they're past that level, I think sometimes the challenge in seeing the importance of doing those basic things again, like you said, being humble enough to train with 10-year-olds and like practice that, is you just might not kind of understand that art or that discipline enough to see the importance, you know? So I always challenge people to maybe kind of put themselves in the shoes of something else that they know really well, like their career or something that they're very comfortable with. What would it look like if you were to practice the basics in that again? And sometimes people might say like, oh, that makes sense. You know, I always try and go back to the basics in that part of my life. So if you take that back to fitness and movement or even nutrition, right? Your habits, you're never ever past the basic stuff. And it's not even,
Right.
again, it's not even basic. It's really just essential, like the foundational things.
Yeah, I like foundational is a better word.
Yeah, I use foundational all the time. Like your foundation can always get stronger, wider, whatever you want to say. So that's quite helpful.
Yeah.
Very good. So one of our last questions I have, and this again, if you're not sure because this can be a little specific, then we can talk about it after. But I title these episodes in a way where I think the title itself kind of has the strongest takeaways for the person, you know, because I think, again, if someone's listening right now, they've clearly gone through the whole thing, but there's so much value that you've gone through today that I really like. And I think will be like instantly actionable for somebody in terms of their mindset, the way that they view a lot of things, the way that they view their body. I want the title to represent that as much as possible. So if you could kind of summarize what we went over today or what lessons you want people to take, do you have like 2 or 3 kind of keywords or messages that you think would be good for people to know up front?
I think one thing that stands out to me is move to love yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Move like you love yourself.
I like that you said move. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
I just said, I like that the way you just phrased that though, not just say move to love yourself, but move like you love yourself. That to me at least means like somebody you love yourself, right? Like move like that, you know, show yourself like if you actually care about yourself, why don't you move like that? Why don't you take care of your body? Why don't you do the things that make the person you are feel their best? And just the way that you phrased that was interesting, but go ahead. Sorry.
No, because to me, it's like, is loving yourself, forcing yourself to go on another run or forcing yourself to go to CrossFit 5 times a week when you don't want to? You know, what kind of, or even something, another thing I think is, you know, finding joy in movement. That could be another phrase.
Joy in movement. Yeah. And I think too, so what you just said about the running and the CrossFit, I'd love to not challenge you on it because I actually agree with you 100%. But I think if someone's listening to what you just said and they might take it as, oh, then I shouldn't be doing things 5 times a week or a lot. Like what I challenge there is, again, context matters.
Oh, it totally does.
Like for somebody going on a run 5 times a week and forcing themselves to do it might be their way of loving themselves because let's say they committed to doing that and something that they value is sticking to their commitments or challenging themselves, right? When they don't feel like it. Or on what I think you meant is like, if there's really no relevance to doing something and they're just forcing themselves because they think they have to, then maybe that's not the way that they show themselves love or whatever.
Right. Thanks for clarifying that because I don't want to bash people who run or do CrossFit. Exactly. Of course, please don't use that clip for like anything.
But I know what you mean. I definitely know what you mean. Yeah.
But in the context, I chose those things because those are 2 things that I don't like.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I do not, well, I can't physically run with my injuries, but I also just don't enjoy it. That being said, people who do run, I admire.
Yes.
People who do lift very heavy. I had a friend who was a former CrossFit athlete, and he would show me some videos and I'd be like, that's insane. So those are two things that I think are extremely demanding, and some people do demanding things for the outcome and not because they really want to do them.
Exactly. There's a key, like it's subtle, but there's such an important difference in those two things, like the
Yeah.
why behind what you're actually attempting to do.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Very good. Well, that's good for me. I think we got through a lot. I mean, I could do this for like another hour, but I know you have to run. If you ever want to come back on and chat deeper on this stuff or go with another topic, I would love to have you.
I'd love that.
Be a lot
Yeah.
of fun.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Let's wrap up by, again, please, I know you're super humble, but I would love for you to just plug the things you're working on. Where can people find your yoga classes, your strength classes? How should people contact you about that, etc.?
So you can find me on Instagram, and I have pretty much all of my stuff linked into my Instagram bio. It's at Alyson, ALYSONY 199.
I will
And
link your Instagram below in the description for you.
awesome. Yeah, so I have all of my classes linked on there. I offer I offer two different types of memberships to my classes. I offer an all-inclusive membership, which includes all of my live classes and my on-demand classes. And then I offer a Weekend Warrior yoga subscription, which is just my weekend Saturday yoga class, and then all of the yoga on demand. Or you can just take a class.
Amazing.
So, yeah.
I will definitely link that below. And whoever has been awesome enough to stick this whole episode through, I'm sure they're likely to take you up on that because it sounds
Amazing.
pretty beneficial. Thank you, Alyson, so much for chatting today. I really, really appreciate it.
Thank you, Harris.
Absolutely. All right. I'll talk to you soon.
Talk to you soon.
Bye-bye.